Your best friend falls in love, and her brain turns to water.
People seem to find her inclusive, accessible, exciting, excited. Certainly she had a grand sense of history and place.
You can watch her lips move, making the customary sounds, but you can see they're merely words, flimsy as bubbles rising from some golden sea where she swims sleek and exotic as a mermaid.
So she started out with family stories that had been told to her that she retold, and then she saw how she could move it into a way of storytelling that was moved into fiction as much as in poetry,
right,
and in fiction. From that place, at the starting place of memory and remembered stories, and then she managed to meander in her storytelling and pull things in along the way she famously would walk downtown and meet people and have a little clutch of people by the time she got to the market, telling her stories, and then she would move on to tell those stories to other people. So yeah, memory and storytelling was the foundation of who she was in her literary work, I think.
It's always like that. You stop for lunch in a crowded restaurant, and the waitress floats toward you. You can tell she doesn't care whether you've the baked or French fried, and you wonder if your voice comes in bubbles too.
She was a marvelous teacher because she would burst into the room like a weather system. In fact, she sort of sucked the oxygen right out of the room. Literally, it was really astonishing. And she'd sit down and she'd say, "Let me tell you what I just wrote." And she'd read stuff that she'd probably written on the way over. And this just came to me. It was sort of like one of these. She had just started to write fiction, her short story collection, and she was so excited by it. She wouldn't take up the whole class with it, but she was that palpable and electric excitement was. It just everybody would be sitting up straighter, and it was just. I never saw anybody do it. Maybe it was the size. There were maybe 10 or 12 of us around the table. But I think it was just the energy of her. It's remarkable.
It's not just women either, or love for that matter. The old man across from you on the bus holds a young child on his knee. He is singing to her, and his voice is a small boy, turning somersaults in the green country of his blood. It's only when the driver calls his stop that he emerges into this puzzle of brick and tiny hedges. Only then you notice his shaking hands, his need of the child to guide him home.
She wanted to bring everyone together. She wanted you to know her work, but even more, she wanted you to know other people's work. So she was generous. That's one of the major words with her that would be connected with her. For example, she always, and I don't know if anybody does it anymore, she would always begin her readings of her work, even at a book launch, by reading somebody else's work. Because she had a captive audience. She had you there. She was going to give you full blast of herself, but she also wanted you to make sure to understand that this person she had just discovered, who happened to live in Alabama, was a voice you should hear too. So she was very compelling in her generosity.
Wow.
Yeah.